Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Dark Rooms Podcast, episode 46. And that means that we have a new piece of artwork, which is awesome. Oh my gosh.
Patient 46.
But, you won't get to see the art this much this episode, because we are making a tier list, and that's going on screen right now in editing. Boom, look at that.
Boom, exciting, editing, the power of
on the
future.
video form. Obviously,
yeah,
the audio form is going to be different, but we'll make it clear.
Nothing has changed for Spotify listeners, and we'll do a snap. There, boom. Now you can imagine that a tier list has appeared.
But if you go on the Dark Rooms Reddit, you can see our tier list for yourself.
Yes.
And what are we ranking, fellas?
We are ranking the Fazbear Fright Story because, as of recording this, in 3 days, the first Tales of the Pizzaplex book will come out, which is crazy. And I'm excited.
And I finally finished the Felix the Shark audiobooks that Ozone made. So now I'm all caught up. I've read all the stories now. So we are here to come to a tier list that we agree on, as I guess the official Dark Rooms podcast Fazbear Fright's ranking.
Yeah. All right. So yes, let's get started. So just to go through, I'm sure everyone knows how tier list works, but in case you don't know, S is like the best. Like this is like our favorite story. Like these are the ones that we think are amazing. Yeah. Then A's are very good stories. A couple flaws, but still overall good. B and C are like, okay, they're good, but can be better. I'd
say B is more decent and C is more average to meh. Depending on how far you go.
D is like, there were some good parts, but mostly bad. E is like, this is not that good, and F is like, this is the worst. And epilogue is for we as a group thought that you can't really rank the epilogue against like the stories. And we're gonna rank individual epilogues later, but for now we're just gonna put all the epilogues into that category.
I don't know about you guys, but in my personal opinion, I don't think any of the stories are like written badly. Yeah. I think all of them are really well written.
I think
except one is iffy, but
okay. Not this again.
Everyone knows how I feel about one story in this.
Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to
that.
Anyway, you guys, what makes a good Fazbear Fright story in the first place?
Investment in the characters.
Yeah.
Yes.
How connected to FNaF something is, I'd say, because it is a FNaF story.
As a theorist, I was going to say how well it ties into the overarching lore and timeline. If it has a bunch of little like strings that I can pull at and connect to other things, I love it.
That's a good
thing.
So
I like it. I like that for like theory service and I guess fan service. But in terms of just a story, I'm not sure if that really comes into play for me.
Exactly. That's why I'm biased.
And that's why it's going to be fun to come to agreements on where we rank things today.
I think that a good story is just one that's like, I don't know, because like it's all like of course it's all subjective, and like I think that all the stories are pretty good. It's just like, you know, some I like more than others. It's just like it's weird. I don't know. I don't really know. I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm sorry.
And that's okay. I think another thing, these are supposed to be scary stories, but personally, I will probably like a story more if it's disturbing or scary, but it's not the only thing I look at. I look more at the emotional value, and if a story can combine emotional value and investment with horror, then it's like, ooh, this is really good.
And I also really like twists. And if it has a good ending, then it's very rememberable as well.
Yeah, twists are pretty good.
It's like kind of, I don't know. It's like sometimes I think horror is hard to write sometimes. So like if it's like, oh, that one's like super scary, it's like, oh, I saw that coming. It's like, that doesn't automatically mean it's bad for me, I guess.
Right, yeah.
Anyway, shall we start off what we're
I guess.
Let's get straight into it.
This might take a while. Honestly, I'm not sure if we can do this in one episode, but we will
we can do it.
We will try.
And if not, it'll just be a two-parter, you know?
Yeah. Alright, so first off, Into the Pit.
I think that's S.
Really?
It is the
No.
first. No.
Well,
Okay.
let's each
We're already starting off with a debate.
Look.
let's each give our own opinions on the story, and then like work out together where we put.
Yes. This is the first story ever written for Fazbear
Okay, but
Frights.
underscore counterpoint.
It's ancient.
Counterpoint.
What?
Don't counterpoint yet.
No. If
Let the man
hang
talk.
on.
I'm not saying why. I'm just saying facts. It is the first and technically oldest story
it
out
is,
there.
But if Into the Pit was in the, I don't know, 6th book, 7th book, would it be as good as you think?
Maybe.
Like, would it change anything?
So you're pulling the nostalgia card here.
The nostalgia card is a good card to pull. You might be right. I don't know.
Right. So
Okay.
underscore you said S for Into the Pit.
Well, I think it's at least like A. I think it's at least A. I mean, are we not allowed to pull nostalgia into this?
No, I mean I think we can. It's ultimately our subjective personal opinions. We're not trying to say this is the objective tier list or anything.
True. A big problem with Fazbear Frights is that after, I don't know, maybe book 7 or so, it did start to get a little monotonous and fall off. Is that the right word?
I would agree in some sense.
I'm actually going to disagree.
Oh?
Yeah, I think that it was there were some things that were kind of similar, but I feel like they were all different enough that it's they're still pretty good. It's like you're oh, friendly face is just 1:35 a.m. because the animatronic follows you. Yeah, that's the only similarity, and you can boil anything down to
FNaF
these are all
1:35 a.m. because the animatronics are.
Yeah, it's if you boil it down to very, very simple, I feel like all of them are different and they all have merit in their own right. So it's I disagree with the fact that you say they fall off, because I think 8, 9, 10, and even 11 a bit were amazing books.
They did have some good stories in there, yeah.
I think it becomes more of a mixed bag as the series goes on.
Yeah.
I think it's always been
still.
I think the fact that there's 3 stories is a good thing, because if you have one bad one, you still have one good one. For every he told me everything, you have a what we found.
And then there's book 7, which we'll get to book 7.
After a good discussion on each book, we should all just at the end throw out our personal ranking, and we just go in the middle of that. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Because this is going to be a tier list of compromise of 4 people.
Yes, this will be the compromised tier.
Because this is 4 people with different opinions trying to make it one thing.
So when we feel good about what we've talked about, we throw out our rank.
Yeah.
Into the Pit. I think that it's a good. I think it's a great story, actually. I think I think it does a good mixing of FNaF plus introducing the new series, connecting to the epilogues in a good way, kind of building that out. Has lots of good ties back to FNaF. Has some good theory fodder. And I thought
I agree.
And I think it wasn't one of the ones a super duper slow start. Pretty quickly Oswald finds the ball pit, hops in, and then you have this mystery of, hey, what's this? Why am I in the past? You have the time traveling ball pit whole thing, and I think there was some good action there with and it was a good chunk of so okay. I feel for a lot of stories, the only scary thing happens right at the end for the shock value and the death, but for Into the Pit, the dad was the bunny for a long time, for a good chunk of the story, and it it was just unnerving, and I think it did it really well. So I'd say
it was kind of a dread throughout the entire story.
Yeah.
So
God,
I'd say
what is happening? I'm going insane.
I'd say it's and then with the going insane, because oh, the cat noticed something was wrong. So is he really insane? Is this really happening?
Yeah, I liked that part of it as well.
Yeah, I think it was a very good story, and it was it's definitely, I definitely see why they picked this story for for a start. I think it was a very strong start. I don't know if it's quite S tier, but it's definitely A tier for me.
I agree with your points. Where it falls off for me, I think, is in the ending sequence where there's the whole I don't know how to put it other than battle with Spring Bonnie
and then
Spring Bonnie just ends up because
it gets hanged.
Yeah, I know. It's obviously it's really difficult to write action sequences because you know, it's usually in movies they're like really fast paced, but when you have to write it all down, you have to like point out the little details and stuff. So
Yeah.
it's going to be slower paced, and it's all in your head and stuff. So
Alright.
obviously we've got to factor that in, but
We're
overall
certainly
it's
not
an
going to
okay
be.
story.
We're certainly not going to be able to take this much time on every single story. So I think we should all throw out our little letter right now.
Well, I'll just say what I have to really quickly on it.
Alright.
I think it's a good starting story. I I echo most of the sentiment people have had. And I will say the part with Spring Bonnie being the dad, I'm not quite sure about because it's very strange and I don't think it was ever really explained.
It is a little weird.
I like the MCI stuff. I like the concept, just the concept of him going and seeing those past memories because he's not legit time traveling because of the tokens being like inexplicably there. But that's a whole other discussion. So I'm actually gonna give a range for where I think it should go, and not like a specific.
So am I.
I'd say the range I'm giving it is from lowest to highest, mid B to low A.
All right. I say solid A.
I'll say solid A.
I'm saying high C to high B.
Ooh.
Interesting.
All right.
So
let's put it.
I think that goes low A, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think low A.
I reckon low A,
Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Low A, high B would be.
Yeah.
I'd say like top of B would be the
we can move
lowest.
these later if like
Yeah. We'll put things in front or behind whatever
Yeah.
we put there.
Right. So into the pit in A. Moving on to Be Beautiful.
I'm actually gonna run and grab water
Oh.
because my throat is killing me. But
All right.
just discuss it.
Okay, To Be Beautiful, such a good story, I think,
I
at
agree.
least. This, we don't get a lot of, I mean, like, we get a lot of Eleanor in the epilogues, but this is like an example of her outside of this overarching story. This is what she's been doing for, however many decades, and it's kind of cool to see that sliver of what she's been up to.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a great introduction for her. Not to mention bringing back the illusion discs in a really fun way. Overall, I remember being super excited reading this story because obviously I didn't have spoilers. So just getting to that reveal, it was like, wow. I think it's probably maybe the best of the first book.
I agree. I think it's best of.
I think Count the Ways is the best.
You think Count the Ways is the best?
I do go.
They're
between
all
To Be
good
Beautiful.
hitters. Is the
Yeah,
problem?
they are. That's the thing. Yeah, book one is a very solid start. I used to have Count the Ways as the best one, but I go between them a lot. So I think right now it's To Be Beautiful. And we'll probably wait for Psychic to say their opinion. Ozone, what do you think?
Yeah.
I think you're making some sounds.
How do you feel
Am
about
I?
To Be Beautiful? How do you feel about To Be Beautiful?
I've been the kind of opposite of Inky, where I've always said To Be Beautiful has been my favorite in the first book, but it's now switched to Count the Ways. I think
hear why you switched.
I think it might be because Eleanor became the big villain in the end. I actually think that kind of overshadowed it, and
it like sullied
made the
her
story a little worse.
exclusivity from this story a bit because she
Kind
wasn't
of.
exclusive to it anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's better stories, so I would probably put it high B, low A, like Into the Pit. I think they're on the same wavelength.
I would.
I want to hear what you'd rank it. Inky.
Me?
Yeah, you.
I would put it A above Into the Pit.
Looking like I'm gonna try to think about every story that's out there. I want to put this one S. This is an S for me. This one.
S for you?
Yeah,
Okay.
this one's an S for me. Doesn't mean it's gonna make S, but it's an S.
I'm more of an S tier exclusive.
Yeah, same.
Okay,
same.
Like,
I'm not going to be saying S for every story on this
Fair.
entire
Yeah,
tier
okay,
list.
yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah,
I was gonna say, I feel like we're gonna wait. This tier list is gonna be weighted to like the upper hand
Oh yeah, definitely.
of the tier list.
But I'm sure we'll actually like once we get into some more like mid to controversial stories, I think it'll be more balanced down as far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for now, yeah, very like book one's gonna be rated very highly because it's friggin' book one. Like
Yeah.
I don't know many people who would say they don't like book one.
By book 7, we're gonna have to start throwing things into like E and F and D.
Yeah, definitely.
Jesus underscore.
What? I'm just
You're just
speaking the
throwing them out.
truth.
No,
We're
I mean
gonna-
I,
we're gonna
I
have
agree
to.
with him. I mean you could probably
I
guess
do
that I
agree.
agree with him, but
And
um,
yeah, okay.
so To Be Beautiful. I guess we're stalling for time now. That's like
Let's talk about Count the Ways just a bit to start
Yeah,
off.
let's
yeah,
talk
that
about
sounds
Count the
like a good
Ways.
idea. Yeah. And then Psychic can come back and do the thoughts
Yeah.
on both of them.
Yeah. So who wants to start Count the Ways?
I'll start. Count the Ways is an amazing story. I love how they switch between like perspectives in
I
like the
agree, yeah.
future and the past, or the present and the past, or whatever. And I really like the cliffhanger that gets solved in
Mhm.
epilogue 11.
I was glad that got solved. Oof.
I
Ooh.
was in anticipation for that to be over, but she got her happiest day, and that makes the story 10 times better.
She did,
Hey guys, I'm back.
Hey, okay,
Okay,
back to Be Beautiful.
Yeah, briefly back
So,
to To Be Beautiful.
Tell us
Okay,
about how you
okay.
feel about To Be Beautiful, Psychic.
So, it's good. I think. Okay,
Excellent,
Okay.
awesome.
Let me finish. So, I think it suffers from being the middle story in between Into the Pit and Count the Ways. I think removing it,
Interesting.
it might be slightly better than Into the Pit, but sorry, I kind of ran. So I'm out of breath. But
All right.
basically, it's like kind of like, I don't know. I kind of feel like if there's something like in the middle of like something that is like widely considered to be really good, you kind of skip it, even if that thing in the middle itself is really good. Because it's not as good, but it may be. But it's like
Psychology.
yeah, it's like.
Come on.
So I would say maybe like high B, low A.
Interesting.
All right, so let's
Oh,
That's
so-
what
all
I said.
let's all throw out
Oh, you-
ours.
Yeah, okay. I don't remember hearing Ozone's.
Oh.
Well, I
letter
also
ranking.
said high B, low A, but that would be above Into the Pit, in my opinion.
I said mid S.
So underscore ranks it very highly. Ozone and A, or Ozone and I.
I think
No,
we
Ozone
should.
and
I
A.
think we all agree it's above Into the Pit. In
Yeah.
A.
It's above
Yeah,
Into the Pit.
A onto the. I can't talk.
Alright.
So,
A above Into the
finishing
Pit.
what I was saying.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Finishing what I was saying about Count the Ways. Of Psychic, I said that the ending was really cool with the cliffhanger that got solved in epilogue 11. Also, I love how there's like a whole contrast through the story, and I've analyzed the story and stuff a lot, and there's really cool details, and it's like a really, really good story. So I would definitely put that high A, low S.
You know what?
So it's
I'm gonna agree, and here's why. I think it's really cool that the first story had this cliffhanger that was like there for the entire series and solved at the very end. I really find that cool.
Exactly. We were just in anticipation for it to come back, and it did, and she got her happiest day, and it's amazing.
That's so interesting.
And
guys.
also,
That's
it's like
so-
I remember being like,
Yeah.
I remember before in anticipation for Prankster, I was like, in the final epilogue, I was like, will, like the first two stories of Into the Pit have been very important. Will the third story appear? And I think you guys were like, nah, probably not. And then then reading it, I like freaked out. And then I go to Ozone's audiobook, and like it ends like Jake's story, and then switches to Millie, and you just see this pause, and he goes back and forth, and it's just like that was me. It was like, wait, did I miss a page? It was so funny, and I loved it so much.
So you two think it's like low S but above To Be Beautiful.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
definitely.
Inky,
It's the best story. It's the best story in book one.
I have a different opinion from you
Me
guys.
too. Me too.
I love this story, but I actually think it has done a great disservice by being solved later. I think the cliffhanger
Okay, I can see that. I can see that.
where the ending is up to interpretation, like you kind of get to decide whether she lived or died in your own headcanon. I thought that was one of the coolest things about Count the Ways, and that's what really made it stand out for me as a story. Of course, I like the concept. Funtime Freddy showing up is always a pleasure, and he was written very well. I love the back and forth jumps past to the present, how she got there, and I like that she got her happiest day, but that's more for epilogue 11. But for
Yeah.
Count the Way,
That's
Count the
true.
Ways
That's true.
itself, I feel like it does not hold up as well, knowing that like there was an outcome that is canon.
Interesting.
So I would put it honestly between To Be Beautiful and Into the Pit in A tier. I still like it a lot. I just think it was kind of hurt by having it be solved at the end.
I love a good conclusive ending, so I didn't mind that it was solved, but I don't think it has nearly enough going on, I guess. It was a good story. Of course, it's book A, but I would put it actually high A, but I mean like behind Into the Pit.
Behind Into the Pit. So we've got two
I said behind,
high
you said in the
As.
middle.
So
Yeah.
Inky,
Here's what I think. I think we should put it between.
We should put it in between, yeah.
this doesn't have to impact at all, but I'm just curious if there was never a conclusion to the story, where would you put it, Inky?
I would just probably put it A above To Be Beautiful instead of A behind To Be Beautiful. It doesn't change that much for me, but it's just a solid A tier story for me anyway.
All right, cool. So in between.
That sounds
yeah,
good to
in
me.
between.
I think so. Yeah. Sure.
And there we go. Book 1 is done.
I do want to say, keep in mind,
Out of that.
look, book 1 stuff is really good, but we didn't put
is.
any of book 1 in S.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I
Hey,
really
S is for the special stories.
Yeah, for me, I really save S for personally me. I like if you want to like
S is for good stories underscore.
Oh, really? All right, book 2.
Book
Like
2
he told me
Fed.
everything.
Oh.
Wait till we get there.
Oh boy.
I think this might have been my favorite book of any book. Like all 3 stories together, favorite book.
Wait, Fetch.
Yeah, Fetch. I think Fetch might have been.
No, we have very different opinions about Fetch.
Who wants to, let's take it one at a time. Who wants to go first with Fetch?
I'll go first.
Okay, I'll go. Okay, psychic.
I am sorry.
Oh no.
Ooh.
I would put Fetch low C, high D.
Oh
No
God.
way.
Oh my god.
You're,
oh no.
Okay, you gotta explain. Explain
okay.
your reasoning.
Fetch, I don't know why, is the one story
Dude.
that I just find unappealing and have never gone back to. I felt it was very long, very drawn out, not that interesting, and it's like kind of hard to explain, but I just didn't like it that much, and I have not gone back to it yet.
I mean,
I probably
fair
should,
enough.
but it just like everyone's like, oh, this is like one of the best stories, and I just don't see it.
I'm going to agree with you on that.
No
for all
way.
of the stories in Fetch.
Oh my gosh.
All of them?
This is gonna be a
This
divisive
is
book.
crazy. Okay, Inky, what
Okay.
you got?
Fetch had me on the edge of my seat the entire time. We're talking about the story, not the book.
Yes.
Right.
Because Fetch had me on the edge of my seat the entire time, and I think it was a very big factor in getting me into this series in general. So I hold high. I can't speak. I hold Fetch in very high regards. I think it's great, the tension, like him finding it at Freddy's. It's connected enough, even though it's a new character. He's got his friends who don't really do much. I don't know why I brought them up. And just
Hades!
the whole
Hades nuts.
idea,
Hey.
the whole idea of it like tracking down what he wants, but like it has consequences. It's like this is the FNaF version of the monkey's paw.
Yeah, it is.
Fetch is the monkey's paw. He wanted the lucky finger. Boom! Have the literal lucky
dang.
finger right now.
I'm gonna agree with you.
You want your crush to come to you. I'll bring her to you at all costs.
She's
like,
dead.
She's dead. I love this story. And whereas Psychic would put it a bit lower in the medium range, I will. My personal tier list that I make my videos on, it's the top of A, and that is where I would put it on this one as well.
Ooh.
I'm gonna agree with you. I'd put it above the Into the Pit stories, maybe low S, high A, and
I would actually.
What?
No. For once, I would contemplate like having it low S would be something I legitimately think about.
I don't put every story in S. Okay, we're just really early in. Okay.
Yeah, we are really early in.
But this one gave me a ton of theory fodder. It ties highly into the Stitch Raid story, and it was just a really fun one. I loved the REG machine. Like, this one had a lot of weird science stuff going on, and I loved that.
Okay, yeah, I love that too.
So, what are your thoughts, Ozone?
The story, the concept for the story is so cool. I love it so much. And there's so many scientific things in there, like as you said, like the
REG
0 point
machines
field
and
and
the
stuff
0
like that.
point. Oh,
So cool. Love it all. I'm not too
what's
fond of
the
the
but?
ending
Not too fond of the end.
where it's just here's Kimberly. Bye.
It's technically a cliffhanger. Originally, I thought Fetch had gone and killed her dad. What?
Well,
I don't know why he would, but
I mean, he got him arrested.
He never wanted her dad.
He got him arrested.
Okay, whatever. That's a crackpot theory for another day.
Whatever. No, that's just an old one.
Overall, this is the best story in Fetch, in my opinion.
I would agree with that, actually.
And
I am going to disagree with that, but it's still pretty good.
I would put it high B, low A.
So Underscore and I rank it very highly. Psychic ranks it pretty low. Ozone puts it in the middle. So together, what would that make it?
How about
together?
Under
I
to
think
be
it's
beautiful?
low A.
How about Under to be beautiful, but above Count the Ways?
I'd say between Count the Ways and Into the Pit.
I'll settle.
Agree with that.
I'll settle.
All right.
How about this? Yeah, if we put it there, I'll compromise and I'll go back and reread it and give another chance.
Right there. Okay. It's
All
pretty good.
stories are A.
Yeah, all stories are getting A.
We are never
We're gonna have to shift some around, you know.
Well, maybe, yeah, probably.
We can move them down tiers after we compare them to other ones.
Yeah. And speaking of moving things down tiers, I have a feeling this next one's probably not going to be A. But let's just let's get our thoughts on this. Lonely
Freddy.
Frick.
Yeah, Lonely Freddy.
Who wants to go first?
I'll start. It's the only part about Lonely Freddy that I like is the ending.
It is what it's known for. That's what
the ending is really cool. Oh yeah, the song is like the best in the series, but the story, yeah. I really like the ending where all of the Lonely Freddys are there in the dumpster or whatever, screaming. But that's the only part I like. I'm sorry.
I remember.
No, I agree.
Really boring.
I agree entirely.
Where would you put it then, Ozone?
I'd put it C.
I'm just gonna agree to exactly what you said and also say C. I have nothing else to add, but it's just mid.
I'd say B
It's
because I did get attached to the characters and I thought it was interesting.
I agree with Psychic as far as getting attached to the characters, and I thought the ending was pretty neat. So I remember passively enjoying this story when I read it. So I'm just gonna say high C.
High C.
I think that's a C.
I think that means that's a definitive C from 3 people.
That's a high C, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's just C. There's nothing else to compare it to in C.
Right.
I know,
but eventually
we'll
it'll probably outrank other things.
All right. Now, out of stock.
This is where I think we're gonna have some fun.
We're gonna have some issues here because this is my favorite story of all time.
Yeah.
I love this one and I don't know why.
Present your
So this
case.
is an F.
So
Ozone.
out of stock, it just had so much weird stuff going on that I loved. It's Plush Trap, which was a very minor character from FNaF 4, and it's got human parts. That's weird. Why is that happening?
Fair.
I think it also had a big Halloweeny vibe too. Did you notice that? I think it was in October or so.
From it, yeah.
But then the freaking conclusion of getting it hit with a train. I love this story so much. I'm saying S, high S, but that's just because I'm biased to love this specific story above all else.
Interesting.
This is my high S story.
So I like the plot where they are able to solve the fact that it moves in darkness and you shine the flashlight at it and stuff. But I don't know. It felt a little boring and I didn't get that attached to the characters.
This one was action packed. What are you talking about? It chewed through a door.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't
Just
really know what else to say
on the
other than that.
Fazbear
say A
Fright
tier.
checklist.
You'll say
thought
A.
it was
I say
a good
high
point.
A.
I would say
I agree
say
that it was
B.
very interesting. I thought it was entertaining. I liked how it connected back to FNaF 4 with the flashlight.
It's very nice that it was like it was that exact mechanic. They didn't mess around.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
just exactly how it was in FNAF 4.
true.
My thoughts on Out of Stock have always been a little harsh, and I think that's gonna change today. So
No.
Shut-
not drastically, not drastically. Like once you hear what I'm actually moving it to, you will probably not have a huge reaction. So now that you mention like how minor of a character Plush Trap was, I will say when I think of Plush Trap, I do think of Out of Stock. I think it definitely put the character on the map, so to speak. Made it creepy, has some action scenes. I do agree with the sentiment that I don't really feel like I bonded with the characters at all. I don't really remember them that much. So
Yeah.
I think in that
That's my
sense,
problem.
in that
Inky,
sense,
name
Plush
the main
Trap-
character's name. What's the main character?
I don't know. I do not know his name.
Oscar.
I don't even know.
Yeah, it's
Wait,
Oscar.
are you guys mostly
Oscar.
basing on like wanting to bond with the characters specifically?
It's a big thing for me, just because if I can be invested in the characters, I get invested with the events they're experiencing.
That's why
I'm
you don't
mo-
like He Told Me Everything.
I'm mostly looking for the world building and the vibe. That's
Right.
what I'm.
That's
That's what I'm
very
checking out.
important too. I agree.
And this one just had the best vibe.
We're like judges on a talent show. Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want to see excitement. I want to see songs.
I want to see a door chewed through. But yeah, I initially like on my other
wanna see your
list,
mom.
which I will update pretty soon actually. On my original list, I have it C. But I think rather than having C, I think I'll settle for B. I think putting Out of Stock in B is where I'd put it. So we've got an S,
A and a B.
and an A
B.
and B. Okay,
So we
got
have.
two B's, an S, and an A.
Please put A. Please
Does
put A.
that move?
It
That's
might
either
have to be an A.
that's low
I think
A
that's
or
an
high
A.
B.
It's gonna be behind Into the Pit, I think.
I think that's a low A.
Oh, fine.
I can just hear the pain. Don't worry, we're all gonna have that one story that we like.
Yeah, that gets trashed on by
Bro,
everybody else.
I'm worried about coming home at this rate.
Oh no!
You should be worried.
We have to contend with Ozone for coming home.
All right.
Yeah, my saliva is like jumping out my mouth right now.
He's
Frothing.
foaming at the mouth. Book 3. Okay, for like real quick aside, this is a lot more fun than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Like I'm really enjoying myself, and I hope everyone listening is as well. So book 3, 1:35 a.m. How do we feel about this one, fellas?
This is a good book too.
I would
Nah.
Someone else,
agree
please say
less.
something.
I would agree less in that sense.
The story or the book?
Well, story first of all, I guess.
It's the weakest one in this book.
Huh?
1:35 a.m. is the weakest story in 1:35 a.m.
I do agree.
I'm gonna disagree with that. I liked 1:35 a.m. This was, I think, the first story to actually scare me in a sense.
Interesting.
It's definitely unnerving. Like
It is unnerving.
Yeah,
And I will say, but like one thing you did well. I feel like it kind of did like the kind of like everyone thinks you're crazy aspect well, because like if you think about it, like, oh, you get woken up at 1:35 every night. Oh, that's not a big deal. Like, sure, it sucks. It's not a big deal, but like, you know, to everyone else, like, oh, okay, whatever. But to her, it's like night terrors. It's terrifying, and like nobody gets that, and it drives her crazy.
Yeah.
And I will say they do that very well.
It's like
I agree.
it sounds like a would you rather concept. It's like, would you rather wake up at 1:35 a.m. every night or walk on spaghetti for a week?
Walk on spaghetti.
So my other thought on this is that like I feel like this again kind of changed my opinion because of Eleanor.
Because she is
it's
the one
kind of revealed
orchestrating
that
this.
it's all just Eleanor. Like, so what was the point of You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I guess it doesn't really make sense for her to just mess with this random lady for a while and
Well,
then have that be
it's
a
another
story.
example of her murders. Eleanor
Yeah.
has like an over 30-year, decade-long like spree of murders, and this is just one of them. Just like
Yeah.
Sarah, but it is a little less impactful
I
than
will
Sarah's
say
death.
the art for this story, both the cover and the one in the Ultimate Guide, terrifying.
It's great.
I don't think I've seen
Actually
the Ultimate Guide
chilling.
one.
I'll show you.
How Ella is drawn is pretty freaky.
My thoughts on 1:35 a.m. I would say I agree with like the general consensus that it's kind of slower paced, kind of mid, boring, kind of. But I did really remember enjoying the descent into madness.
Yeah.
That is what carries the story, and like I said, it's kind of goes back to my central theme of character investment. Because like if I didn't find the character of Delilah interesting, like she's basically at a dead end in life, and then she just starts going through this crazy stuff. Like if any other character that I cared less about went through the plot of 1:35 a.m., I think it would be really boring. But I
I think
enjoyed the Psychic said, the whole like everyone thinks you're crazy, that you feel trapped by this occurrence that
And
happens.
then she literally gets trapped in an air vent.
Yeah.
Sus?
I think
Delilah vents?
one.
Sus?
come on.
Psychic, please.
I think
already
that
made that joke.
definitely, yeah. Like I get really invested in her as a character because how she's going crazy and has to deal with this. And two, I was freaked out by her. Like her only escape from this is getting stuck somewhere
Yeah.
where no one will ever find you. That freaked me out.
Oh.
Yeah, there was no happy ending for her. That's a big
Yeah.
Also, the other thing for me is that Ella is like looks like a really creepy animatronic doll or whatever, but she never really appears again after
Yeah.
she's thrown away.
You're just led to believe that it's Ella, and
Right.
and it's
Yeah.
really mostly Eleanor. All right, let's throw out our rankings, boys.
I'd say
I'd say C. C.
high B,
High B,
low A. High B, low A.
high B.
I'm gonna say low B.
That
Sounds
means
like
B.
a B.
That's a B.
B.
That's a B.
That's a mid to high B.
All right, S tier
Room for
story.
more.
S tier.
S tier. S tier.
Wait, what?
Room for one
Room
more
for
is
one
S tier.
Why is room for one more S tier?
Are
I need to
you
hear this.
Kidding me?
No, I need to hear this.
It's
No,
one
I
of
need to
my.
hear this.
It's one of my favorite stories of Fazbear Fright.
This is like the Psychic and Ozone anti-rant. Like,
Yeah, I need to hear this. Like, what's good? I need to hear the reasoning.
I think it's super interesting. I like how sister location. I love. Okay, it's kind of hard because there's so much stuff I like about it. I'm like can't think very straight. But yeah, it's good. Ozone, your turn. Add on to what I said. Ozone,
It's a good story.
Okay.
you guys are great at defending. I'll throw out the reasons I think they'll probably identify with as well, because I enjoy this story quite a bit. I don't know if I would put it in S, but I do like this story. First of all, main character is likable. He has a believable reason for not going to the doctor, even if it's a dumb reason. It's a believable reason.
Yeah.
Once this stuff starts happening, like his dad died because of what was it? Just malpractice, or they just weren't able to save him or something. So he doesn't trust doctors, which will be important later, obviously. He works at
Dr.
Sister
Little.
Location. Dr.
Okay.
Little is implied to be there. The mini arenas are there. Direct connection to FNaF. And this story is very uncomfortable because of it's not a one and done process. It is gradual. It is over time. He starts to get inconvenienced and then literally hurt by the mini arenas, like going into him. And I think the telltale sign that this was a good story for me is that I felt so uncomfortable reading it that my throat hurt. Like physically.
Yeah.
Like
No.
my brain was reading the words
Are
on
you
the
good?
page and actually
Inkyink.
like instilling a reaction in my physical body.
Okay, sorry, I have to say something. This was my first story I was reading as an audiobook for my YouTube channel.
Uh-huh.
Oh no, that throat hurt must have been.
I was
Oh.
getting a sore throat while
Oh,
also
man.
reading about someone getting a sore throat.
Oh no.
I was terrified.
And yet you still love this story.
And I love the story because it made me terrified. Also, I do want to say, even though this is like mainly perceived as like a terrifying story, it's actually quite emotional as well.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like a whole
It's a slow process.
There's also a mini story in there about like a breakup and him
Yeah.
like getting over his ex and stuff, which is like really.
And there's a weird chance that his
Sentimental.
like ex, or I think his ex or whoever who he's looking for is in Blackbird. There's a small chance.
Yeah, the last thing he did was write a letter to his ex saying sorry.
Yeah.
It's just a
Okay.
really good story.
Yeah.
Where would you guys put it? Or
I haven't said my
underscore.
piece.
Yeah, say
High
Okay,
A, I
So
think.
it's not that I don't like this story; it's that it was somewhat unremarkable at the time. It's like it's a good story. I love that it's in sister location. That's crazy that they do a story in the facility itself. You know,
Mhm.
if I had to give something, I guess yeah, it is an uncomfortable story, and that was a little off-putting in a way. If I had to say one thing, I wish it showed us more of sister location and not just like the mini arenas, which I mean, mini
And we had
arenas are
nightmares.
cool. Mini arenas are cool and all, but sister location has a lot more to give.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I would agree
So
with that.
I think there was cooler stuff that we could have saw, but otherwise, it's pretty good.
Can we put it in low
We do
S?
see the fun times in Stanley's Nightmares.
True.
As like what, a taxi cab driver?
And a dentist.
That's
Yeah.
what I wanted.
And a dentist.
It's still really cool to see.
Yes, it is.
Okay, I want to hear
So-
everybody rank it, and then I'll just be like the lowest of those.
I say
I would-
yes.
High A, high A.
So we've got an S, a high A. I'm gonna say below fetch, above into the pit in A tier. Underscore. Where would you put it?
High B, low A.
No, I know how underscore feels.
Yeah.
That'll suck.
You're gonna.
Um,
I think you're gonna have to put it high to mid A.
Yeah.
I think it's
I
gonna
think
be
it's.
like.
I
think
think we're
it's
gonna have to put
either-
it.
It's around
between-
fetch.
It's around fetch.
No,
Put it above
hang on.
fetch. What?
Hang on,
What?
hang on, no, hang on. 50% of us, 50% of us say above everything else.
So
That's
it's gonna
true.
be high. Very
High
high
A.
A.
Above
That's
So
to be
very-
I
beautiful.
think,
Top of A?
either above or below to be beautiful.
Above to be beautiful.
Do
probably.
we think that this story is better than To Be Beautiful?
I think so.
Yeah.
I
I'm
don't
biased.
think. I
I
don't
think
think.
so.
really.
It's funny. I don't think Fetch
Dude.
is better than To Be Beautiful, but I do think Room for One More is better than To Be Beautiful.
Can
but
I
not as
can I
What?
point out, can I point out that underscore just said I'm biased when we're doing opinion based content?
Oh, yeah. That's not how that works.
I'm objectively correct.
Look, if we
Well,
can't
okay.
get anything better than this one in your guys' opinion, that one can be moved to S later.
Okay.
Wait. Actually, you know what? I
there's
think.
better
I think.
stories.
I think it. I think it should be below To Be Beautiful because of underscore's vote. I don't think it can be top of A when he says.
Okay,
it's-
below to be
When I
beautiful.
say it's
think
BA.
compromise.
Yeah.
It
I think that's the most averaged out, where it's not
Yeah,
top of
sure.
A, but it's high A.
like you said, Fetch was unremarkable to you. This one was somewhat unremarkable to me.
All right. That's fair.
Okay.
That's fair.
All right, the new kid. There's a new kid on the block. Who is he? What does
New
he do?
kid. This
Does.
one's a mixed bag.
I agree.
It's
I
not. It can't be canon. It's one of the only ones that cannot be canon to what you would consider the Stitch line.
Okay.
Regardless of that, what?
Do we know that or
I've done the math. I know.
The math, the calculation.
The math.
Yes,
But
but that doesn't take away from it that it's not
yeah,
canon.
lore aside, just seeing it as a story, not a huge fan of this one, just because it feels like it's supposed to be lore filled, but doesn't really explain anything ever.
It doesn't
All
deliver.
all it really has going for it is that Golden Freddy shows up for a little bit, and we get to see a Springlock incident. Those are the only things that the story has going for it, in my opinion. I mean, the characters are kind of okay. I do remember the characters, which is a step up from like out of stock, but
I don't remember any characters.
but I don't remember them
Mick,
being all
Devon,
that great.
Kelsey.
Yeah, Mick, Devon, and
Kelsey.
Kelsey
Can
is
Can I
I
go
feel
on
like-
a side tangent real quick?
in a second. I feel like if Kelsey was explained and the ending was like satisfying in the way, not that like it resolved, but like how he restarted everything. If we knew a little bit more about him to make that ending more satisfying, I think I'd like the story a lot more. But
So,
to me,
hang
to
on
me
a
the new
second.
to me the new kid just feels like a bunch of stuff just sort of happens with no real rhyme.
So-
or reason. And yeah.
Count the Ways gets resolved, and you put it lower, but you want the new kid to be solved, so you can put it higher.
Okay,
Well, there's a difference.
The difference there is that we know what's going on in Count the Ways, and it's sort of up to interpretation what we think happens after. In the new kid,
Okay.
we just straight up don't know what's going on in general.
Yeah, the difference
okay,
is
I
like
agree.
the difference in the new kid is that we don't get the understanding. The difference in Count the Ways is that we just don't get like this event ending.
Yeah.
The understanding is more valuable to have solved than an actual event like cliffhanger.
Psychic, you wanted to, and Ozone, both of you wanted to say something.
Mine's an unrelated story that you reminded me of, but it's but it's not. People on the podcast probably wouldn't care, so I'm not gonna say it.
All right.
Fair enough, because we also have to be conscious of our time.
Yeah.
We've got a
Which
lot
we're
to do.
probably not being. This could be a two-parter.
This is probably gonna be a two-parter.
two-parter.
Could be a
Oh,
three-party.
Jeez.
Hey, but
Alright.
by then we'll have time for Tales.
So,
listen, I hate to say this, but just so you guys are aware, we are at the third book, and we are at 45 minutes.
No,
Fine.
what?
It can be. We can have like slightly longer episodes for these, like maybe hour 15.
Hour 15, hour 30,
no,
90
hour
minutes.
30, hour 30.
Hour 30.
Hour
Seems
30.
pushing it a little bit, but anyway. I mean,
No, hour 30 is
I'm
good.
all for it. I'm having
Yeah.
fun. I'm just worried about the viewers.
We can get through half today.
Just about.
And really quick for the viewers, since this will be part 1, and if it ends up being a little bit of a longer video, let us
You're
know
wasting
what you
time.
think. Let us know what you think if you want the other part to be as long.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's speed round this. Come on, we gotta go fast.
Yeah,
No, I think
quickly,
I think
quickly,
I think
I don't think we've been going at a good pace.
yeah, I think
we
we've been
should
going at a
walk
good
it.
pace. Like it's okay
Alright.
that these are long. It's like because I think
We're
it
having
takes time.
fun.
Yeah, we're having
We're getting
fun.
our thoughts out there. It's a big. This is a
Welcome
celebration.
To the Dark Rooms podcast.
This is a celebration of the Fazbear Frights. If we speed through it, it won't be that satisfying.
Any more comments that anybody has about New Kid?
New kid.
Um,
What the heck happened in this story?
I think I agree with
I thought
Inky on
exactly.
most of what he said. It's like what happens. It is kind of uneventful and slow with him getting his arm stuck, and he's just chilling there for like a while.
Yeah, I think it's a neat ending for that. Basically everything Golden Freddy in this story was really cool, like the spring lock. I like the spring lock scene.
So
This was a major theory fodder back then.
Yeah.
I really like the characters. I think I could kind of relate with Devon with like the kind of guilt, I guess.
Have you ever
I agree
shoved
with you.
someone in a spring lock suit, Ozo?
Yeah,
Oh.
Okay.
your
Carry
mom. I think I agree with like Kelsey kind of needs to be solved, but at the same time, I like that it isn't solved because I don't know, it kind of creates mystery. But I think saying all of that, I would put it in B because most of it was quite boring.
I'd say C.
High C, low B, behind 1:35 a.m.
Yeah, I'd say behind 1:35 a.m. B.
Okay,
All right,
I agree
B.
with that.
Sweet.
All right, that's the first 3 books down.
That's on to step closer.
Oh boy, this one.
This is gonna be
closer.
crazy.
Yeah, this entire book I think is going to be very.
Keep in mind,
controversial
we're
with
through
our-
the first 3 books, and there's no S's yet.
This is gonna be the most controversial one. I'm telling you.
This is where I fight for my S.
Oh no.
Okay, step
Okay,
closer
step
to the
closer.
story.
Step closer. I'm
D.
gonna admit it. Not a huge
What?
fan.
Whoa! What's going on here?
I wouldn't say D personally. I guess I'll go first then. So Foxy appears at like the very start of the story and then kind of doesn't show up for the rest of it. His curse lingered.
Good point.
We've got the 2
Great
brothers. We've got
This-
the whole Mike Bro stuff that happened outside of the story. That's like a whole other thing. I don't really consider that when thinking about the story. Based on the actual events that happen itself, it's a neat little body horror romp where he starts almost losing limbs and eyes, and then he eventually gets hit by a truck and becomes an organ donor. That is
Ooh, the organ
is
donor
like
ending
a-
was pretty freaky.
It was pretty freaky, but I just summarized the whole story in like 1 sentence, and I think that says a lot.
In retrospect, I think the fact that this is technically an Eleanor-centric story, where she's responsible for everything, might actually bring it down a bit.
Yeah.
Because if you like go with the idea that it's
I think it
cooler
brings
to
it up.
think, You think it brings it up? I was gonna say I think it's cooler that it would be some weird Foxy curse than
Yeah.
Eleanor just throwing weapons at him.
I think.
No,
I think. The fact
I
that
think
it
it's
would be,
weird if it's just a curse.
I think
Well,
both
it
are
would be
kind of bad.
weirdly unexplained, but I think it's still cooler than it just being Eleanor. At least on this one.
I like it's a better concept in my opinion, but I don't actually like either.
I think this one's weird. Like I like the idea of like I think the idea of like so this was like when we started like thinking about like agony like this story like this book is like we just got off of epilogue 3 with the
Yeah.
creation of the Stitch race, so and then like there was like he mentioned like when they were in the back curtains there was like this like black goop or whatever, like oh must be agony, could be like an agony curse or like a kid died and like it's now like cursed this kid. It's like I feel like it was much more interesting with Eleanor. It's like it's just her just like throwing it's just like Eleanor just throwing a buzzsaw, you know.
Eleanor
This-
was driving the truck.
This is one of the very few stories that might actually get brought down by an Eleanor reveal, I think.
Yeah. Because like otherwise,
That's
like,
interesting.
otherwise I thought it was like before that I was like oh it's really interesting, you know. But I don't know.
High C, low B, above Lonely Freddy, but would be behind the new kid.
I'm gonna
I
say
would agree.
There's no way.
I'm gonna say C, just C.
High C, above Lonely Freddy.
I'm gonna say C below Lonely Freddy.
Honestly, I think I'll agree with that. I think it's below, or yeah. Well, no, I think it's above Lonely Freddy. But
I would
barely.
say it's
think
above Lonely Freddy.
They're very
I think-
close.
I think it's a definitive C above Lonely Freddy. I think
I
that's
think-
what we've
yeah.
come to.
Okay.
I think we've
Okay, let's go
we've
with that.
most solidly agreed on that.
Yeah.
Which is
Except
funny.
Ozone, who hates
This
it for
is
some
like
reason.
this is a super. That's a super like well-received story in the community. So I wonder if we're gonna get some.
In
some
retrospect,
flack
we're
for
like
Is
that.
kind
it?
of
I
trashing
don't
No,
think
it.
it is.
I have seen.
It's pretty well.
I have
deserved.
seen
If
so
you
much.
if
Step
you
Closer
disagree with our placement, please leave many angry comments.
Oh please,
Please.
please! I
We
would
will
love to
read
see
them
those.
all.
I would love to read all the angry comments of people disagreeing with us.
Oh,
Please,
no.
I am
And it is okay,
begging
and
you.
it is okay that you have different opinions.
Yeah.
We don't want to sound toxic.
Yeah, I guess this is we should have said this at the beginning, but it's okay that if you disagree with our opinions and we don't like a story that you like, because you know like you've seen we all have stories that we all like, but maybe not everybody does.
Yeah.
Hey, I
I
think
think every story that we are like every story that one person or two people really like, but other people aren't completely sold on it. I think it's just gonna end up in A. Now that I think about it, like it's just gonna be the pool of A.
We might have to.
I think I need to drop the bombshell that while we were setting up this recording, I completed this tier list on my own, and just have my own version setting on my desktop right now.
I mean, that's fair. That's a good way
Yeah.
to organize their opinion
Yeah.
ahead of time, I guess. Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with being unprepared.
I mean, or prepared. You know, dance with
That's
me.
just an excuse to be unprepared.
No, I mean, there's nothing wrong with being more prepared. I'm sorry.
Sweet.
I'm. Shut up. You know what I meant. Whatever.
All right, boys,
Dance
dance
with
with me. I love Dance with Me so
Really?
much, dude. I love Dance with Me.
I find
Dance
it
with Me so
great.
much.
So, actually, this is we talked about it a little bit in the last one, but like, I guess we can also like talk about the community response to these stories because I remember Dance with Me was like the first. Dance with Me was like the first very controversial Fazbear Fright
I would
story.
agree with that.
Define controversial.
People didn't like it.
People either love it or they hate it. There's no.
Okay. It was a
When
50-50
when it
story.
first came out, I thought this was like the most unliked story. Like that's like the vibe I got from like.
I think
community.
I think at that point it was because there were only 4
But
books. out.
why? I don't
Yeah, it's-
understand the negativity.
Why
Well-
is it bad?
We've got both sides here, I guess, because I'm not a huge Dance with Me fan.
Okay, let's hear you two first, and then me and Ozone will defend it.
So you've got Casey. She's like a thief. This story is really mostly about her, and while I don't find her boring per se, I find the situation more boring. It's just funny because it's kind of like it's kind of the polar opposite of 1:35 a.m. where I found the character where I found the character enjoyable, but the
situation boring.
situation boring. It's like that again, but I don't enjoy the character as much.
Okay.
So she steals glasses from a kid coming out of Circus Baby's Pizza World, and suddenly Ballora shows up, but she's invisible. She's definitely there because she's
Out
affecting
of
beliefs
context,
around
this
her.
sounds crazy.
Yeah, no, Ballora's invisible and she's following her. So she skips town and she goes on this redemption arc where she goes, stealing bad. And my biggest problem with the story is that not much happens with Ballora. Yes, you could argue that's like, holy crap, it's Ballora. If she catches up to Casey, she's gonna kill her. But from her perspective, she doesn't know that. It's just a strange animatronic thing following her. There's not really any indication that Ballora's going to do anything bad to her. She just sort of follows her around.
It's a lot of paranoia, but not a lot of like action or like actual terror.
There's no payoff for the paranoia, which is my biggest problem with it.
The ending... I've heard some people say like the ending's like, oh, she gave the glasses to the kid, so Ballora caught the kid instead, and then that's
there is
I've heard
there is a bit of a debate on that being a cliffhanger.
Right. I've heard that interpretation. I don't.
No shot.
I don't think that's actually.
I don't think it changes much either way, though.
I think the glasses are a product like Dance with Ballora. So by stealing the glasses, like Ballora, honestly, Ballora was either trying to return the glasses to the kid, or she was gonna dance with Casey. Like one of the two. I don't think Ballora was gonna kill her.
This seems like a story that is a big, good ending story. Yeah,
and it just doesn't.
Definitely.
It just doesn't hit for me. Like I found it rather. I think this was the first story in the series where I was like kind of bored with it the entire way through. And I don't think it had any satisfying payoff for anything that happened. So my personal opinion, I'd put it low C, high D.
I agree with your point. I see your points.
I see them too.
So, on one hand, it's like I see your point, but I like the story.
that that's gonna be a lot of things like feelings or feelings.
However,
and, like, facts don't always change that.
However, it's like I don't know because like sometimes I do this weird thing where it's like if something's really hated, I start to really like it just because it's just because it's not liked.
No.
Can't wait to get to the story.
Oh no.
However, this one I would say looking back, like
is this a hill you want to die on?
Looking back, I agree. C tier.
C tier.
Okay.
Wow.
Ozone, you want to go?
You two dance with me, enjoyers. Commence.
I actually, you've probably bumped it lower down for me now.
No.
Because your points were quite good, but not as low down as C. I really like the fact that Ballora is just this presence that's coming closer and closer to Casey as she feels guilty because she stole these glasses from this random child. And that's really cool to me. I also like the cliffhanger ending, if you could call it that. And just the line of like, and then she started dancing. Like, what does that mean? That's so mysterious.
I have something to say that might ruin this story a bit.
I like those points, Ozone.
I just think the overhanging dread really carries the story, and I actually didn't think it was that boring, as people say.
I liked it a lot. Like I said, I liked the vibe. She's trying to refit her life. She's, going away from stealing, but she's still got this thing following her, and she's got to, fix what she did, which was steal from this lady.
Her guilt will always be behind her until she puts it, until she fixes it.
And I agree with you guys there. I just think the execution didn't do the concept much service.
Was I the only one who thought that this was a very cool angle of Circus Baby's Pizza World?
Yeah.
Like, this is Circus Baby's Pizza World, something we've almost never seen.
That is a cool element, but it's only at the very beginning, and Ballora is just kind of there. I don't know.
I wanna maybe I might accidentally ruin this story and like bump it down a bit, but technically this is also an Eleanor-centric story.
How so?
In one of Larson's flashbacks where he kills Eleanor, they're in the warehouse where where her and her thief guild slept. Eleanor may be part of what is following her.
Now, the other thing I will say
personally,
is
that would make more sense than literal just invisible Ballora that no one else can interact with.
Well,
true.
And we know that she was actually there because she was like messing with like leaves and stuff.
Yes, but then that would beg the question, like, how does Ballora physically follow her this far?
I'm also a little bit concerned because Circus Baby's Pizza World was only open for one day.
This would have to be that day.
That's a weird thing to happen in that one day. And like if Afton shut down Circus Baby's Pizza World in one day, would he not be concerned about where Ballora just vanished to? Is
Well,
this the real?
it's not actually. This is not the
story
real
happens
Ballora.
across weeks, and it's never really mentioned. Like, oh, Circus
Well,
Baby's
she
Pizza
does-
World, which shut down.
She does
Yeah.
get out of town rather quickly.
Yeah. I would just wonder, like, what's Afton doing in all this that his Ballora is missing?
This is not the real. This is not the real
Right.
physical Ballora.
But then the leaves, it interacts with the leaves, so it is
Eleanor.
a physical thing. Eleanor, okay, I
Yep.
mean, fair enough.
I like how
People say this was a glitch trap parallel.
Glitch trap?
Well, the
I can
idea
see
of
that.
the girl getting possessed by Ballora at the end was like a digital consciousness transference idea.
Yeah.
I can see it.
I don't think.
I don't
she's
agree with it,
possessed,
but I can see it.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah,
see
I
it,
see
but
why. Okay, I think we need to throw out our ranks now. We've made our peace.
Low C, high
Low
D
A.
for me.
Low A.
Wow.
Let's say B.
So
I think B it is.
B, yeah, I guess.
Would that be high B or low B or like in the middle of those two?
I would say.
I'd say on the
Personally-
lower end.
Personally,
probably.
I'd say between 1:35 a.m.
I think it
and
should be
8.
between, like right in the middle
Yeah,
of 1:35 a.m. and the new
Points,
kid.
the points
could agree
that
with
you
that.
guys made for it, as far as like the looming presence, like yeah, that's pretty decent. I'll accept that.
All right, I think that is a very divisive story right there.
Right, and it's kind of in
That's-
the middle of the list now, so
Yeah, it's almost smack dab in the middle.
It's never been in the middle of the list, but today that changed.
Hello, everybody. This is Editing Psychic. So basically, we recorded 2 hours worth of FNaF tier list, and we only got through half of it. So this is where I'm actually going to cut the first part of this multiple part thing. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this episode. And we're going to see you next time where we talk about Bunny Call and Blackbird, and also Coming Home. So yeah, we'll see you guys then. Bye-bye!